Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone. I'm Jasmine Yu, and I'll be serving as the MC for the Americas session. On behalf of the International Women's Peace Group, IWPG, I'd like to warmly welcome you to the 2026 Global Women's Peace Forum. Thank you for joining us from different countries and regions around the world. Your participation reflects our shared commitment to building sustainable peace through dialogue, cooperation, and women's leadership. Before we begin, I'd like to provide a brief announcement regarding the interpretation service. The official language of this session are English and Spanish, and the session will be hosted in English. The presentation will be delivered in both English and Spanish, so please select your preferred interpretation language using the interpretation button at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Today's forum brings together women leaders, policymakers, educators, civil society representatives, researchers, and peace practitioners to discuss peace challenges facing each region and to develop practical policy recommendations together. This forum was designed to one simple but important purpose: to listen to the voices of women on the ground. Too often, discussions about peace begin at the global level and work their way downward. Today, we are taking the opposite approach. We begin with the lived experience of women in each region because lasting peace must be built on understanding of local realities. Every region has its own history, culture, social context, and peace-building priorities. The challenges facing women in Africa are not identical to those in Europe. The reality of Asia Pacific differ from those of Americas, and South Asia and Middle East are facing their own unique circumstance. For that reason, meaningful solutions cannot be one size fits all. They must reflect the voices, experience, and priorities of women who know their communities best. At IWPG, we believe sustainable peace begins with individual women. We believe when one woman recognizes her own value and discovers her potential as a peace builder, her influence extends to a family, her community, her nation, and ultimately to the world. This belief lies at the heart of IWPG's work. Regardless of race, religion, nationality, social background, or culture, we strive to empower every woman to become a local peace leader who voluntarily and independently contributes to building peace within her own community. After all, no one understands what their region is more than the women who live there every day. That is why today's forum is intentionally open, interactive, and participatory. Rather than limiting participation to select group of experts, we invited women from diverse backgrounds across each region to join this dialogue. Every experience matters, and every perspective is valuable. Whether you are a policymaker, a researcher, or a community leader, or someone working quietly within your neighborhood, your voice has a place in today's discussion. Throughout today's sessions, I encourage everyone to speak openly, listen carefully, listen respectfully, and engage with curiosities. Let us not only identify the challenges we face, but also share practical solutions, successful local initiatives, and recommendations that can inspire action far beyond our own communities. It is our hope today's forum will connect women across different regions and backgrounds, strengthen mutual understanding, and generate practical recommendations grounded in a reality of local communities. The ideas and recommendations developed today will not end with this forum. Outcomes of four regional forums will be brought together and published as a Global Women's Peace Recommendation 2026. IWPG will work to ensure these recommendations are carried forward beyond today's discussions. We will share and amplify them through international platforms and in our engagement with government representatives, international organizations, civil society, and other relevant stakeholders. Through this process, we hope the voices of women from each region will contribute to future policy discussions, inspire continued dialogue and cooperation, and lead to meaningful action for sustainable peace. Most importantly, we hope every participant leave this forum knowing that her voices matters and meaningful peace begin when local women are empowered to lead change within their own communities. Now, I'd like to briefly introduce today's program. Today's forum consists of five parts. First, we will begin with the welcome remarks by the President of IWPG. Next, we will hear two panel discussions. The first panel will focus on identifying the most urgent peace challenges facing this region. The second panel will explore practical solutions, policy approaches, and models for cooperation. Following each panel discussion, participants will take part in a short live poll to identify the most important priorities. Based on those results, everyone will join small group discussion to develop regional recommendations. Finally, representatives from each group will present their recommendations before we conclude today's forum. We encourage everyone to participate actively throughout the program. Now, to officially open today's forum, it is my honor to invite the President of International Women's Peace Group, Ms. Na Young-jeon, to deliver the welcome remark. President Jeon, the floor is yours.
Distinguished speakers, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone joining us from around the world. I am Na Young-jeon, the president of IWPG. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to the Global Women's Peace Forum. Although we are connected through an online platform, we are united by something much greater than technology. We are connected by a shared hope that together we can build a more peaceful, more just, and more sustainable peace. Thank you sincerely for taking the time to be with us and for bringing your experiences, perspectives, and commitment to today's dialogue. Today, the challenges facing our world are becoming increasingly complex. Beyond armed conflicts, we are confronted with climate changes, rapid digital transformation, the spread of misinformation, forced displacement, widening inequality, and growing polarization. Women are also facing persistent barriers to their rights and opportunities, from gender-based violence, including digital violence, to unequal access to sexual and reproductive health and rights. At the same time, issues such as food, water, and shelter security, migration, and post-conflict recovery, environmental sustainability, digital inclusion, the rights of persons with disabilities, and the empowerment of rural women and women entrepreneurs continue to shape women's daily lives in different ways across the world. These challenges do not exist in isolation. They intersect, reinforce one another, and create increasingly complex realities for women and girls. As a result, enjoying a peaceful and dignified everyday life has become more challenging than ever before. That is why peace today cannot be built through a single solution or a single perspective. It requires multiple approaches, cross-sector collaboration, and above all, a deeper understanding of the realities people face in different fields of the world. This is precisely why we believe it is more important than ever to listen to regional voices. Women living in each community understand the challenges they face better than anyone else. They witness changes long before they appear in international reports. They experience crises before they become global agendas. And they often discover practical solutions long before governments or international institutions are able to respond. Unfortunately, the pace at which the international community reaches consensus is often much slower than the pace at which new challenges emerge on the ground. By the time global discussions lead to collective action, countless women have already been living with those challenges for months or even years. We simply cannot afford to wait. We need to hear what women are seeing, experiencing, and creating today, and ensure that those lived realities are reflected in tomorrow's international discussions, decisions. If we truly want sustainable peace, we must shorten the distance between local realities and global decision making. And the first step is to listen to the voices of women who are living those realities every day. At IWPG, we believe something very simple. That is, peace begins within people. Governments create policies. International organizations facilitate cooperation. But lasting peace is ultimately created by ordinary people who choose dialogue instead of hatred, understanding instead of prejudice, and cooperation instead of division. And women play a particularly important role in this process. We know that if one woman discovers her own value and embraces the values of peace, her influence extends far beyond herself. That is why IWPG invests in women, not simply because women deserve opportunities, but because empowering women is one of the most effective pathways toward sustainable peace. Through peace education, leadership development, and international cooperation, we seek to help women recognize that they are not only beneficiaries of peace, but builders of peace. Today's forum reflects that belief. Around the world, every region experiences peace differently. The challenges facing women in Africa are not identical to those in Europe. The realities of Asia Pacific differ from those in the Americas. South Asia and the Middle East face their own unique complexities. Yet one truth connects all of us. No one understands the realness of vision better than the women who live there. The solutions we seek cannot come only from outside. They must also emerge from the voices, experiences, and wisdom of local women themselves. That is why today's dialogue is so important. I also hope today's discussion goes beyond identifying problems. The world already knows many of the challenges. What we need now is greater courage to share practical experiences, successful approaches, and ideas that can inspire others across borders. Every community has stories of resilience, and every country has women creating peace in their own way. Those stories deserve to be heard, and they deserve to shape international conversations. The discussions and recommendations developed through this series of regional forums will not remain here. I encourage each of you to participate today with sincerity, openness, and passion. Please listen carefully to one another, and please share your own experiences honestly. And when today's forum concludes, I hope you will take these conversations back to your own communities. Turn today's dialogue into tomorrow's action, because each one of you is already an agent of peace. At IWPG, we also make this promise to you. We will bring together the voices and recommendations from all 4 regional forums and amplify them with the international community. They will also contribute to the discussions at the 2026 International Women's Peace Conference to be held this September in South Korea, where women's voices from every region will come together to shape future international dialogue and cooperation. So today's conversation is therefore not simply an exchange of ideas. It is the beginning of something much greater. Before I conclude, I'd like to leave you with one thought. Peace is a choice that each of us makes every day. And history shows us that lasting peace has always begun when ordinary people decide to become extraordinary builders of hope. I believe every woman joining us today already possesses that power. May today's dialogue strengthen our shared commitment, deepen our mutual understanding, and inspire meaningful action for generations to come. Thank you once again for joining us, and I wish you all a fruitful and inspiring forum. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, President John, for your inspiring remark. We appreciate your vision for strengthening women's leadership in building sustainable peace and for reminding us why today's dialogue is so important. We will now continue with our first panel discussion. Our first panel focuses on identifying the most pressing peace challenges facing this region. Our panelists will discuss the current conflicts and peace issues affecting their communities, the impact on women and society, and the challenges that require the most urgent attention. Now, I'd like to invite our distinguished panelists. Our first speaker is Ms. Peace Udoka Amira from Canada, the founder of Global Impact Empowerment Hub. Please join me in giving a warm welcome. Peace, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the part of the world. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, okay. Can I have the right to share my screen, please?
right for screen sharing?
Okay, you're sharing the screen. Okay, thank you.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Please go ahead.
All right. Okay. Awesome. Thank you very much. So today I'll be talking on the topic from silence to influence. And we're looking in terms of the topic here, how women voices are redefining peace and transforming lives. Today, I want to invite every one of you to reflect on one question. Can there be lasting peace if half of humanity is not fully heard? In a few minutes, we're going to be talking about how our voices matters as female, our journey from silence, how we are going to impact our community, our roles as women, how we're going to looking at those challenges and building a peaceful future. Why women voices matter? The next slide, please. From generation, many women are expected to remain silent. Today, women are speaking with courage, standing for justice, and shaping communities through leadership. Influence begins when we choose to use our voice, not only for ourselves, but also for those who cannot speak. Peace is much more than you choose or the absence of conflicts. It is justice. It is dignity, opportunity, and inclusion. Women bring unique lived experiences, collaborative leadership, and community-centered solutions that strengthens peace building. When women participate in decision-making, peace becomes more inclusive, more resilient, and more sustainable. When women are excluded, everyone loses. We lose our perspective. We lose innovation. We lose opportunities for stronger communities. The exclusion of women from peace processes weakens the very foundation of sustainable peace. Next slide, please. Every woman begins somewhere. Many begin in silence. What are they silenced by? By culture, silenced by fear, silenced by doubts. But influence begins with one courageous decision to speak, to stand, and to lead. History has shown us that one courageous voice can transform an entire generation. Influence does not begin with a title. It begins with a purpose. Empowered women create empowered communities. And that is where we say when women gain confidence, education, economic opportunities, and leadership roles, the family becomes stronger. Our children thrive, and the community at large becomes more resilient. As I often say, when one woman rises, she lifts many others with her. Let's look at some proof that we have that women build lasting peace. Research has shown that women participate meaningfully in peace processes like we are doing right here. Agreement on durable and addressing issues such as education, health, reconciliation, and the well-being of the future generation. Women participation doesn't simply improve representation, it improves the outcome. Women are peace builders in our homes, in our workplaces, in our community, and increasingly in government and international organizations. Leadership is often rooted in empathy, dialogue, collaboration, and long-term solutions rather than short-term victories. We have some inspiring stories in Liberia. Lehman Gower, she united women across religion and ethnic divides and helped, during the years of the Civil War. We had in Rwanda, women became central to building the nation after the genocide. Let's look at Northern Ireland. Women grassroots leadership helped former enemies find common grounds. These and many others are examples of what stories that will remind us of the courage that can change history. Building the future together requires an intentional action. When I talk about intentional, where am I going? It means we must educate our girls and our women. We must elevate women into leadership. We must empower them with opportunity. We must engage women in every decision that affects peace and evaluate our progress as we go along with accountability. Because investing in women is investing in peace. When diverse voices come together, we get a better solution. Women leadership strengthens institution, promotes security, human security. It supports sustainable development. And more voices do not create more problems. Instead, they create better answers. Before I conclude, I want to leave you with 4 questions for you to reflect on. Number 1, whose voice has inspired you? 2, whose voice will you amplify? 3, how will you use your voice to build peace? 4, and who will you become? How stronger because you choose to empower them. When we look at these whole questions, our next option would be, what are we going to do as our collective promise? Our collective promise will be, first, let us imagine a world where every woman leads and speaks without fear. Every girl dreams without a limit. And every community thrives in peace and dignity. This vision is very possible, but it's only if we, me and you, intentionally create opportunity for women to lead and influence people. What is our call to action today as I round up? Each of us has a role to play. We need to listen. We need to amplify women's voices. We need to mentor others. We need to advocate for inclusion. We need to collaborate across sectors and borders, not looking at the different countries. Peace is not built by one individual. It is built collectively. As we can see here, we have people from all over the world. So, let us be the change. The future of peace is not written yet. It will be shaped by our voices, our actions, and our unwavering belief in a better world. Let us rise up together. Let us lead together. Let us build peace for everyone. I would not like to close this without saying this word. The future of peace will not be written by the loudest voices alone. It will be shaped by the bravest voices. Those of us willing to listen, collaborate, and lead with compassion. Let us commit to moving from silence to influence, from influence to action, and from action to lasting peace. Because when women rise, peace rises with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation piece. Your voice inspires me definitely. Thank you. Our next speaker is Miss Misala Torres Pimentel from Mexico. She is psychologist of Colectiva Lila. Please join me in welcoming her. Misala, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about mental health as a determining factor in building a culture of peace. Next slide, please. A very important point to start with that I really want everyone to remember is that we have to recognize mental health as a collective process linked to a person's context, social justice, and peace building. Mental health is not an individual matter, it is collective. And we have thought about it as something individual, but that's a very, very wrong perspective. And we're going to see why. Next slide, please. Now, why does this matter, or how can this relate to a culture of peace? Societies with mental health issues and or exposed to prolonged contexts of violence and human rights violations struggle to build peaceful environments because of their mental health problems developed of these situations. In communities experiencing violent conflict, various social and economic issues take priority, leading to the invisibilization of mental health. It ceases to be a priority because people believe it is not as severely affected as other areas. However, next slide, please. Being in violent situations can lead to many problematic issues. It can lead to post-traumatic stress, anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation, general stress, and eating disorders, among many other issues. Even if they aren't immediately apparent, these issues do exist. They do affect people, and if left unaddressed, they become more severe. As a point of reference, it was recently reported that mental health disorders are the leading cause of disability worldwide. This suggests that on a global scale, priority is being given to other issues rather than placing mental health at the center. It has also been found that the groups most affected by these disorders are women of all ages and people from 15 to 39 years old. And even if the distress caused by social conflicts does not develop into a disorder, it is associated with emotional states such as fear, anger, frustration, and more. So even if the problem does not become serious or serious enough, it continues to cause internal conflict within the person. Next slide, please. To illustrate all of this, for example, if a population is affected by social conflicts, primarily those related to the breakdown of the social fabric, such as work, this results in the loss of a family member or loved ones, leading to sadness, frustration, grief, but it also makes it difficult to form or maintain trusting relationships. The person is at risk of becoming defensive and constantly distrusting their surroundings, even people they once trusted, leading to isolation, the loss of support networks and safe spaces, and a diminished sense of control. Even if they are already in a high risk of conflict zone, there is no easy access to adequate mental health services. So, if the person was already in physical danger, an emotional or psychological danger arises from everything they're going through. The person changes and needs support that sometimes we don't talk about, and they can access easily to it. Next slide, please. Some factors related to violence that we must take in account are three. The type of violence that the people are living, whether it's direct or indirect violence, meaning that if it's something that happened directly to them, to a loved one, or a bystander, and the source of violence. It can be a specific incident that happened to them directly, or it can be something a stem from government actions, institutions' failure to fulfill their obligation. It can also be a violent social discourse. And these 3 points affect on the way we are experiences violence and the results in their mental health. Next slide, please. So, effective peace building depends on the nature and quality of relationships. Damaged relationships cannot achieve this. A person in a state of internal conflict cannot form healthy bonds, cannot respond to inequalities, cannot demand their rights, and cannot build something different within their community. This can result in collective trauma that affects not only individuals and families, but entire communities. If a person already has predisposing factors for a psychological problem, these contextual factors exacerbate it, which is why it is not an individual issue. It is a community one. It is a collective problem. Next slide, please. We must create supportive environments that address both social and mental health needs. Thus, where safety nets have been destroyed, interventions must be targeted at and include entire communities. This is especially necessary for vulnerable groups who are even more easily affected by everything we have mentioned, for example, women. Next slide, please. Women have not been recognized as right holders. They therefore face additional inequality and discrimination simply because they are women. Recognizing and amplifying their voices in decision-making spaces is not only a matter of equality, but also a necessary condition for building lasting peace, based on respect, rights, and the dignity of people. This is why women are one of the groups whose individual needs must be analyzed, especially when it comes to mental health, while also exploring the context in which they find themselves, in order to provide the support they need. In this way, we are beginning to shift the narrative from blaming their women for their mental health issues towards a broader and more equitative perspective, while also recognizing the role they play in society and the need to ensure dignified access to mental health services for all. And we can skip to the last slide, please. Sorry about the timing. And therefore, if we are to shift from viewing mental health as an individual issue to community one, we must focus on who makes up the community and what they need to ensure the protection for their rights and their psychological well-being. If we recognize mental health as a right and make it a priority, we open the door for more compassionate, just, and human relationships. So if we care for mental health, we build a culture of peace. And we can go to the last slide. Thank you. And thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much for your informative presentation, Ms. Sarah. Actually, I have a question, but let me get back to you later in the Q&A session. It was really informative. Thank you. Now, our next speaker is Ms. Karen Elizabeth Leon Romero from Mexico. She is a student in National Autonomous University of Mexico. Please join me in welcoming her. Karen, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning, afternoon, everyone. It is an honor to be here today, and I would like to sincerely thank IWPG for this space and for the opportunity to give voice to a reality that needs to be heard. Today, I'm going to talk about a specific and sensitive topic that is a daily reality in my country. It's the disappearance of persons. Next one, please. I stand here today as a young Mexican woman from a country defined by its traditions, cultural diversity, gastronomy, and costumes, but also by a capacity for human connection that seems boundless. We are people of intense passion. We saw this during the World Cup, where our streets became a living landscape of unity, joy, and deep empathy. In those moments when thousands of voices sing as one, you can feel the warmth of our collective soul. However, we must be brave enough to face the other side of the reality. Behind those moments of celebrations, there's a nation with an open wound. The same passion we feel for our culture must be applied to our social wounds. The protests we see in our streets, led by students, activists, and above all, the searching mothers. They are the desperate and legitimate crisis of a society that refuses to be silenced, a society demanding to be heard and treated with dignity. Next one, please. To truly understand this crisis and the pain it carries, we must be precise. In Mexico, we face a dual crisis. Enforced disappearances, those ones that are perpetrated by state agents, and disappearances committed by private individuals, often linked to criminal networks. And this is not just a problem, this is also a structural crisis. Next one, please. The reality of disappearances in Mexico City is harrowing. Every day, the National Registry of Missing and Unidentified Persons updates its figures. But these are not just data, they are lives, they are heartbeats, they are hope. The real number of missing people far exceeds official data. While institutional registries recognize little more than 4,000 cases, independent estimates point to over 130,000. One of the main obstacles is the state's refusal to acknowledge the scale of this crisis. The problem is made invisible through under-registration or classification that reduce the number of recognized cases. Next one, please. Well, the United Nations Committee on Enforced Disappearances has documented the persistence of this phenomenon in Mexico. Noting that impunity keeps this crisis alive, these international institutions have become our last tool because when national mechanisms do not function properly, when reports get lost in bureaucracy, international intervention becomes the only path to demand the truth that the state sometimes refuses to give. Next one, please. And well, we are not talking just about figures. We are talking about human beings, mothers, sisters, granddaughters, and daughters. I talked to my friend, Anna-Meli. She's a university student, brilliant, a lover of hiking, French language, and also painting. In an instant, she was snatched away, and her future stolen. Her life and the life of her loved ones changed forever. Here is a life filled with light. Anna-Meli's story is the story of thousands of young women who disappeared in Mexico. When a mother says goodbye to her daughter on her way to the school in the morning, that blessing should not be the last thing she ever gives. Well, finally, I am deeply grateful for IWPG, for the opportunity to share a vision of the reality lived in my country. While this is a deeply sensitive subject, one I would often prefer not to address because of the pain it carries, I recognize that this is an undeniable reality that must be faced with maturity and responsibility. I cannot allow to myself to remain trapped in melancholy or anger. I also want to share that more and more people are seeking to take action from the social collective. Well, my country is full of beautiful things, of passionate and hardworking people. Let's have a collective consciousness and empathize with the victims and the searching mothers. Let's give them names, share their stories, and transform our private sorrow into a public, permanent struggle for justice. Thank you very much. Next one, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing this deeply meaningful story, Karen. Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Ms. Reinalda del Carmen Clico Vidal, also from Mexico, who is a writer and advocacy. Reinalda will present in Spanish. English interpretation is available in the interpretation menu. Please join me in welcoming her. Reinalda, the floor is yours.
Gracias.
Thank
Buenos
you.
días. Good
La fase
morning.
integra con luz y sombras. Siguiente, por favor.
The peace
Este
as an
trabajo
inner
está
flame
dedicado a todas las mujeres que aportan en silencio.
and this is about the support of all women
Siguiente, por favor.
who remain in silence
Mm,
and
gracias.
contribute to this work in silence.
La paz es una flama interna que
Peace
nos toca
is an
cuidar.
inner flame that must protect
La
and
paz
keep
es una
safe
flama interna que nos toca cuidar y mantener a salvo de los embates de un
from the
exterior
forces of the
fascinante como
outside
nuestro
world
interior.
that
Su
threaten
luz
to
es
extinguish
cálida,
it.
transmite ternura,
Its light is warm, it
dulzura,
conveys
reconforta.
tenderness, gentleness,
El fuego en los
and
hogares
comfort.
primitivos era usado para proteger
In
y
early human
alimentar.
communities, fire was used to
Fue punto de
protect and nourish
reunión
us.
de mujeres
It became a
que a su
gathering place
alrededor
where women
compartían
shared their
vidas,
lives,
experiencias,
experiences,
sueños.
and dreams.
Conocerlo,
Learning to
aprender a
understand it,
controlarlo,
control
limitarlo
it,
y
and
evitaba
contain it
causarnos
kept
daño.
it from harming
En
us.
algún momento olvidamos el carácter
At some point,
conciliador del fuego
we forget
y empezamos
fire's
a usarlo como arma
reconciling
para
nature
establecer
and began
límites
using it as a
límites.
weapon to create imaginary
Su luz dejó de
boundaries.
mostrarnos
Its
nuestros
light no
límites
longer showed
y
us the
pasó
way.
a exponer
Instead,
diferencias.
it exposed our
Siguiente.
differences.
Sí. Dejamos de ser una especie
We
blanca
ceased to
al
be
pasar
one
por
human
el prisma
family
de los criterios
as we
culturales,
pass through the prism of
políticos,
culture,
sociales,
political, social,
económicos,
economic, and
religiosos.
religious standards.
Asumimos colores
We
y
took on different
formas que
colors
nos
and
diferenciaban.
forms that separated
Siguiente
us.
diapositiva. El amor se tornó en combustible
Love became
usado a
fuel
modo.
used for
Se maquilló
convenience.
la libertad
Freedom
y
was,
olvidó que no
was
tenemos poder ni
disguised, and we
dominio
forgot that
más
we have
allá
no
de la
power or
piel que nos
dominion
cubre.
beyond the skin that covers
Empezamos
us.
a ver la flama
We began to look at one another's flame with
con
suspicion
miedo.
and fear.
Siguiente diapositiva. ¿Qué se necesita para volver la mirada
What does it
y
take
buscar
to
el
look again and seek
entendimiento, la
closeness,
conciliación,
reconciliation,
la
and
cooperación?
cooperation?
Siguiente diapositiva. Algo que no se limita a la
Something
simple empatía,
beyond simple empathy,
respeto y
respect,
aceptación
and
de
acceptance of others,
algo que tiene que
something
ver
that
con un
involves
reconocimiento,
recognizing and
una
integrating
integración
both
de
the
la
light we
luz,
carry
los
and the
soportes y la
darkness we
oscuridad que nos
refuse
negamos.
to
Siguiente
acknowledge.
diapositiva. Mirar por encima de
To
prejuicios,
look
de
beyond
diferencias
prejudice,
culturales e
cultural
ideológicas,
and
y más
ideological
allá de creencias
differences, and even
religiosas,
religious
que
beliefs
vistas desde la luna
that, when
solo
viewed
siembran
from the
discordia,
moon,
diferencia,
almost sow discord,
crítica, señalamiento,
division,
ideas que
criticism,
fomentan el
and
triunfo de una
condemnation,
razón a
ideas that
costa de
allow one
víctimas que
viewpoint to
caen en
triumph
la
at the
guerra.
cost of victims who
Siguiente
fall in war.
diapositiva. Criterios que limitan, dividen, que impiden ver y reconocer
Standards
la
that limit and
fragilidad de la
divide
flama
us
ajena,
prevent us from
dar paso
recognizing
al
the
engaño,
fragility of another
evita
person's
los
flame,
embates para
making room for the
traduce
deception that
selectivos,
justifies attacks,
cuestiona y
to
amenaza la
extinguish
comodidad
that
que
other
nos
light
falta
simply
hallar.
because it challenges our comfort.
Siguiente diapositiva, por favor. Permítame contarle una experiencia.
Please allow me to
Años
share an
participé en un
experience.
encuentro de
Years
mujeres,
ago, I attended a gathering of women, all different,
todas
from
diferentes,
distant
de
places,
diferentes
diverse
geografías,
backgrounds,
formaciones dispares
and
y
unique
realidades
life
diversas.
experiences.
Siguiente diapositiva. Llegada la noche nos dieron
When
una
night
flama que
came,
fue tomada de la
each of
misma
us was given a
hoguera.
flame
Siguiente
taken from the
diapositiva.
same bonfire.
Pero el aire del campo fue apagando muchas velas.
But the wind, blowing across the field, gradually extinguished many of the
Al final
candles.
llegó la pregunta, ¿qué
In the
hiciste
end,
con
we
la
were
luz que te
asked,
entregaron?
what did you do with the light you were
Siguiente
given?
diapositiva. Allí, bajo la luz de las estrellas,
There,
alguien
beneath the
habló y
starlight,
dijo,
someone
"Lo
replied,
integré
I made it
a
a
mi
part of my
existencia.
life.
¿Cómo puedo ayudar a otras mujeres a integrar su flama de
How
paz?
can we help other women to be
Integrar
able
la
to keep
flama
their
de
candles
paz es
burning?
aceptar nuestros pensamientos, emociones, recuerdos, roles y conductas. Es buscar estabilidad,
And
fortalecer
together,
nuestra resiliencia y bienestar. Es una labor personal. Nadie nos puede sustituir en esto.
it's a personal
Es
work.
imposible obligar a otras personas que lo hagan.
It's impossible
Pero
to
podemos
obligate
ayudar
others
principalmente generando
to
espacios
do
de
the same, but
reflexión que
primarily,
tengan como propósito principal el
we
autoconocimiento
can have
para conocer fortalezas y debilidades, abrirnos a nuevas ideas para evitar la rigidez mental sin perder
we
la coherencia
can
vital. La autoexploración es un ejercicio que requiere honestidad.
this is an exercise
Aceptar
that
lo
we
que
have
sentimos
to
nos ayuda a superar el miedo a lo
feel and
distinto,
helps
a
us
quien piensa diferente. Todo esto es útil
to
para
think
mejorar la
differently.
forma en que nos relacionamos y la forma en que amamos y nos
It
amamos.
helps us
La búsqueda de la
to
paz
connect,
inicia
to
cuando
love,
transitamos la ruta
and when we're
interior
able to
que
find
implica
peace
seguridad y nos lleva
inside
a
of
una paz
ourselves,
profunda que tiene como núcleo
it
el
becomes a
amor.
peace
Construir
that is so
vínculos de respeto
profound
y
that
cuidado
it becomes
es un
love,
reto. Dejar de competir para compartir nos acerca
something
y
that
nos
we can,
hermana.
rather
Solo
than
con
leave
esta
behind, we can
disciplina
actually share with
es
one
posible
another.
hacer todos los días algo para lograr que sea posible.
And it's
Es un
something
trabajo diario
that
que
we can
siempre
achieve,
empieza en
and
uno
it actually
mismo.
becomes possible,
Promover la
and it
paz
starts
no
and
significa
begins
tolerar
within every single one
abusos
of
o
us.
injusticias. Significa buscar soluciones no
It
violentas
means that we can
dentro de
find
marcos legales
solutions to
legítimos.
violence
Ayudar a otros para
and not
encontrar
remaining
la
only
forma
as
de paz
victims.
es también llevar el conflicto a espacios regulados, a promover la empatía y el respeto.
It allows us
Conceptos como escuchar con
to remove
empatía,
conflict and to
promover
have
la reflexión
empathy,
y la compasión, crear espacios
to
seguros de
have
expresión sin
and
juzgar
reflect on
imposiciones,
compassion,
ayudan a integrar la flama de paz. Pero nada de esto
and it helps
sustituye al trabajo interior, la
to
autoobservación que nos
begin
ayuda
this
a
flame
ser
of peace
mejores. Entender que estamos
and helps
en
us to
vida
become
no para
better.
aprobar un examen, sino para cultivar un jardín donde cada pequeña
It
semilla
can become
puede
something that
desarrollar
cultivates like a
raíces
garden,
fuertes que sostienen la paz interior. Cada pequeña planta puede ofrecer
much stronger in
alimentos,
order
empatía,
to
creatividad,
create the inner
justicia,
peace
compromiso social, sana convivencia. Así que podemos
with
iniciar
justice.
ayudándonos para ayudar. Dedicarnos unos minutos a trabajar en lo que es importante, porque es lo único que
And it
tenemos,
directs us to
la
work
vida.
on what is most important
Gracias.
for our life. Thank you so much.
Y fue posible corear juntas el mismo canto.
Thank you, Reynalda, for your wonderful
Gracias.
presentation. Muchas gracias. And thank you all of our panelists for sharing those valuable perspectives.
Gracias a ustedes.
Before we move on to our first live poll, I'd like to ask one question to each panelist to help our participants better understand the issues discussed. Due to time constraints, we kindly ask each panelist to keep their response to around 1 minute. First, my question goes to, not the poll. This is a question time. Okay. First, my question goes to Peace.
Yes.
Peace,
Hi.
if there is
¿Cuál
yeah.
es el reto más urgente de su región?
If there is one action that governments, organizations, or individuals should take today to ensure women's voices generally shape the future of peace, what would it be?
Awesome. Thanks for asking that question. It's very important when we look at the 8 pillars of peace that we do have. If we could live with one action, it would be let us create a space where women's voices are not only heard, but trusted, where our voices are valued, and where we act upon. The reason is because peace is not built on listening to one voice. It is sustained by every voice that has an opportunity to speak and shape our future. And so because of that, we need to invest more in women. Having events like this where we speak, teach people about leadership, and invest in our families, in our communities, and making sure that we have a peaceful world. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your thoughtful response. And I apologize for the pop-up window keep appearing. Please exit the window manually. I'm so sorry for this technical issue. Sorry for interrupting your wonderful response, but yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Now let's move on to Miss Sala. Miss Sala, what can individual to do help shift of the view of mental health from individual issue to collective process?
Thank you. I think that it's something very easy that we should be doing every single day that we sometimes forget about. And it's asking how we're doing, asking the people that are around us, our families, our friends, how they are feeling, if they need something. We need to look out for one another. And even if it doesn't look like a huge change, asking someone if they need help makes a whole difference because sometimes they're not ready to talk about that. And when we start taking care about someone else and rather than only us, we are start to make the mental health from something individual to something collective because we also many of us, especially women, have learned that we need to solve everything by ourselves without help. And that is simply not fair for anyone, not fair for us, not fair for the people around us. So when we also start talking about how we're feeling, we are saying out loud what we need and how we might not be feeling very well, how we need some help. We change that narrative because we deserve to have help if we need it. But we are not going to get it if we don't talk about it. We need to have these important conversations that might not be very comfortable, but are very necessary. So to respond to that, I would simply say we have to talk about this. We have to ask how we're doing. And that is enough to do the first step in order to make a global change.
Thank you, Miss Alna, for your wonderful response. And I think that's why IWPG Networks is here. So I want to ask you, Miss Alna, how are you? Is there anything I can help?
Thank you so much for asking. I'm doing great. Kind of nervous for talking here, but really excited to be sharing this with everyone. And I hope everyone is doing well as well.
Thank you. Let us start asking our friends or families how they are so that we can connect it and we can take care of ourselves together. Okay, thank you so much. And next, Karen, considering the global network of IWPG, what kind of concrete strategy can we, as young people, you think we can implement? I mean, how can we ensure the reality of a case like this in Mexico translate from empathy to real global mobilizations? Would you share your insight
Yeah,
or
sure.
recommendations? Mhm.
Yes. First of all, taking these spaces of manifestation of talking, like IWPG, really have a lot of opportunities where young people can share these experiences, and well, like by myself, I would say that taking action with local communities, for example, the time that I said like with my friend, a lot of my friends, families, and collectives went outside, like where they were saying what they need, like asking to the government, also like things that they really need to be heard. And like these collectives, these families and friends, we can start going outside, saying what we need, and also just to don't stay with the sometimes we have an idea, main idea, like with the social media, and we know just one perspective, but we have to check and we have to know like the local stories. We have to tell them this, the names, the stories, and the real experiences that are having the mothers, sisters, daughters, and like let know what are the real stories and not just one perspective of the social media. And yeah, for young generation, I have to say that we are seeking to have voices to specific with women too, to take these spaces to have sometimes it's really kind of difficult to talk about these topics, but we have to do it like with maturity and responsibility. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your wonderful insight. And IWPG will try our best to hear the ages from around the world. Thank you for your insight. And next, finally, to our last panelist, Reynalda. Thank you for waiting first. How can I help other women ignite their flame of peace? Okay, I
Sí,
think we are
muchas
having
gracias.
some. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank
En
you
mi
so much.
exposición hablo de que podemos ayudar a otras mujeres a integrar
We
su
can help
flama
other
de
women
paz. La
integrate
paz
their
es una luz,
flame of
vaya,
peace
y es por lo mismo tiene una
because the flame of
energía
peace is like a
muy
light.
reciente, vaya, y lo mejor que podemos hacer
We can
es
feel it,
apoyar
and the
la
best that we can do
generación,
is
incluso
support
motivar la
this generation,
generación de espacios,
motivate this generation,
espacios de autorreflexión o de reflexión
is create
colectiva.
spaces
En
for
este sentido, esos espacios
self-reflection.
nos van a permitir explorarnos y
They're
aprender
going
a
to help
conocer al
us,
otro.
permit us to
Por
explore
eso busco mucho
ourselves,
la intervención del arte, a la literatura, a la
and
poesía, a la música, a lo que
also
es la pintura,
including
todas las expresiones
conventions of art
artísticas.
like
De
poetry,
hecho, creo
art,
que la revolución
culture.
de la paz está precisamente en el arte. Debemos, de hecho, todos
We can
somos
find this inner
humanos, hay
flame of peace,
civilizaciones
especially
creadas
through
para lo
expressions of
bello, para lo
art.
estético. Y
We
en ese
have
sentido, como
expressions
mujeres,
of art
somos muy dadas
in the
también
beauty of
a usar la
natural
creatividad en ese
aesthetics.
sentido. Creo que cualquiera puede utilizar el arte como
We can use the art
herramienta también para promover la paz, vaya.
as a medium,
Así
and
que
also a way that we can
generar
promote
esos espacios,
peace.
participar en esos espacios, creo que es
And by uniting and participating
una
in
buena
these spaces,
plataforma para
it's a
promover y
great
ayudar a
platform
otras mujeres a ir integrando su flama de paz.
that can help other women to integrate their inner peace flame.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Muchas gracias.
A
Please
ustedes.
join me in giving another round of applause to all our distinguished panelists for sharing their valuable expertise and perspectives. Thank you so much. Now, based on what we have just heard, we'd like to ask everyone to vote for whether peace challenges you believe should be the highest regional priority. Please take a moment to submit your response. The live poll will be very quick, so please be attentive. Everyone is done? Yeah, that was a very quick poll. Thank you. And it appears again. Sorry for the technical issue. We will now continue. For about this live poll, the result will be guide our small group discussions later today. We will now continue with our second panel discussions. Our second panel explores practical solutions for sustainable peace. Today's discussion will focus on policy recommendations, educational approaches, community initiatives, and collaborative models that can address the priority challenges identified earlier. Our first speaker is Ms. Ana Erika Santana Gonzalez, the Federal Deputy of Chamber of Deputies of Mexico. She represents in Spanish, and English interpretation is available in the interpretation menu. Please join me in welcoming her. Erika, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. I would like to start saying that a woman's voice is, by definition, a strong woman. This was said by Melinda Gates. Excellencies, distinguished leaders, government representatives, business leaders, and members of civil society that are here today. I would like to thank the Global Women's Peace Forum for the opportunity to share all of our voices today. And Therefore, I would like to say that the stability of nations and the strength of democracies and the construction of peaceful societies depend on a great extent on the ability of their citizens to fully develop their potentials. No society can achieve its highest level of prosperity while half of its population continues to face structural barriers to generate wealth, build assets, and exercise full economic independence. Women's financial autonomy is not merely a matter of social justice, it represents one of the greatest opportunities for economic growth, human development, and peace building on the 21st century. Women take an extraordinary contribution to the global economy. They actively participate in the labor market, sustain millions of businesses, manage households, drive consumer spending, and perform most of the unpaid care work that enables our societies to function. We are the take cares. We take care of people. Yet profound inequalities persist around the world, like in my country, Mexico. Women continue to earn less than men for the same work. Millions remain excluded from the formal financial system, not even with a bank account. A significant proportion of women led businesses operate in the informal economy and face enormous barriers to accessing credits, technology, training, and markets. Across Latin America, Asia, and Africa, millions of women simultaneously maintain formal employment. Sorry, something appeared there. Um, while operating small informal family businesses. They are merchants, artisans, service providers, agricultural producers, and entrepreneurs who create value every day without having the tools necessary to scale their economic activities. But a lot of them have two jobs, and therefore they cannot go formal in their own entrepreneurship. Informality limits access to financing, restricts business growth, and significantly reduces the opportunity to build intergenerational wealth. Um, Another challenge often overlooked is the lack of financial education, business management, corporate governance, and compliance programs. Numerous international studies demonstrate that companies with strong governance structures, a sound financial planning, and effective internal controls enjoy higher survival rates, stronger growth, and greater access to investment. The difference between a subsistence business and a sustainable enterprise rarely depends on the talent of its founder. And I know that because that is what I do for a living. I'm a corporate attorney. And I understand that women without a corporate structure in their own initiatives will probably just subsist and will not be successful. The difference between this is more often depends on the structure that supports their business. Therefore, an international debate must evolve, promoting women's entrepreneurship, and is no longer enough. We must build the ecosystems that enable the women to become competitive business owners and owners of productive assets and creators of employment. To that end, I promote and propose today the creation of an international initiative entitled Women's Economic Sovereignty Initiative for 2035, a global alliance bringing together governments, multilateral organizations, university, development banks, and the private sector to advance women's economic sovereignty through concrete and measurable goals. The first goal would be to achieve universal financial education for girls and young women by 2035. Every student should complete basic education with practical knowledge on savings, investment, entrepreneurship, business administration, accounting, and digital economy and artificial intelligence applied to business. The second goal would be to reduce female businesses' informality by 50% by 2035. Business formalization must become a tool for growth rather than their bureaucracy burden. The third goal would be the double women's access to productive credit. Significant financing gaps continue to affect women led businesses. Financial support must be accompanied by training, technical assistance, and conscious mentoring. And then I would go to my fourth goal that would be integrate corporate governance, compliance, and business management, beginning with micro enterprises, transparency, professional management, risk management, and regulatory compliance strengthen the survival and competitiveness of every organization, regardless of its size. The fifth goal would be to recognize the unpaid care work as an strategic economic infrastructure. In my country and in many other countries, women are the caretakers, and this is unpaid. The benefits of these actions extend to far beyond economics. Financial autonomy strengthens individual decision making, reduces vulnerability to different forms of violence, improves physical and mental health, increases investment in education, and promotes social mobility. Women who achieve economic independence participate more actively in public life, strengthen democratic institutions, and create more stable family environments. International evidence consistently demonstrates that societies with higher levels of women economic participation enjoy greater prosperity, innovation, and human development. Investing in a woman is investing in a family, investing in the future. And it's just not an assistance policy. It's an economic growth strategy. It's a democratic strengthening strategy. It's a peace building strategy. For decades, we have spoken about women's rights. Today, we must also speak about women's capacity to generate wealth, build assets, participate fully in the economy, and be fully autonomous. The nations that embrace the talent, creativity, and economic leadership of women will be most competitive by nations in the 21st century. I did a research, and if my country would help women stabilize their informal businesses, our gross profit as a country would increase by 20%. The nations that embrace the talent, creativity, and economic led women businesses will be very competitive. So, economic autonomy is not a concession, it's a strategic investment. It's not just a women's agenda. It must be an economic growth agenda, social stability agenda, and the lasting pace. When a woman achieves financial independence, she gains freedom. Then millions of women achieve the freedom, economies grow, institutions become stronger, and societies become more prosperous and peaceful. Lasting peace is built where opportunity and dignity and economic freedom exist. Therefore, investing in women is not only the right thing to do, it's the smart thing to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Erica, for your innovative and insightful presentation. Let me ask you a question during the Q&A session, so please stay with us until the Q&A session. Thank you. Now, our next speaker is Ms. Belkis Prolentia Izquierdo Torres from Colombia. She is Magistrate of Special Jurisdiction for Peace. The presentation will be in Spanish, and English interpretation is available. Please join me in welcoming her. Belkis, the floor is yours.
Seguimos sembrando la paz con verdad y con justicia.
We follow and continue in peace with justice. It's imperative In this year of 2026, it's essential to begin in 2016 when the Colombian government and the former FARC-EP guerrillas signed the final peace agreement, bringing to an end more than 50 years of internal armed conflict.
Siguiente, por favor, gracias. Se creó el Sistema Integral de Verdad, Justicia, Reparación y Garantías de No Repetición, del cual hace parte este Tribunal
As a
de
result of this
Justicia.
agreement, the Comprehensive System for Truth, Justice, Reparation, and Non-Repetition was established. As part of this system, the Special Jurisdiction for Peace, JEP, was created, a transitional justice tribunal responsible for investigating, prosecuting, and imposing sanctions for the most serious crimes committed during the armed conflict. One of the tribunal's most significant and complex investigations is Case 02, a restorative and dialogic judicial process that examines crimes committed along Colombia's Pacific coast. In 2023, the case established a landmark precedent in both national and international law by legally recognizing the existence of a widespread and systemic pattern of sexual violence and gender-based violence directed against women, girls, and individuals of diverse sexual orientations and gender identities.
Contra las niñas, contra las personas con orientación sexual e identidad de género diversa. Avanzamos hacia una investigación rigurosa.
Through this rigorous investigation, the tribunal documented hundreds of acts of victimization and identified severe, differentiated, and disproportionate harms across three interconnected dimensions: the individual, the collective, and the territorial. Given the gravity of the crimes that were established, formal charges were brought for both war crimes and crimes against humanity, bringing decades of impunity to an end.
También desde este Tribunal de Justicia Transicional a imputar crímenes de guerra y crímenes de lesa humanidad, acabando con décadas de impunidad. Siguiente, por favor. Pero algo muy importante, siguiente, por favor, es cómo en el proceso judicial.
The most important is how in this judicial process, this milestone has achieved in this case was made possible. Applying it to gender, to women, to family as a generational approach. To this great extent, by the individual and collective participation of women. From their own territories, they filed complaints, took part in judicial proceedings, and provided vital information that helped uncover the truth about what occurred during the armed conflict. Their testimonies and personal accounts made it possible to document the crimes committed directly against them. They also enabled the court to accurately characterize the contexts of widespread violence that shattered the social fabric of their communities and territories. In this case, indigenous women, Afro-descendant, and rural women contributed elements of restorative justice drawn from their ancestral systems of knowledge and community-based practices. In this context, the methodological application of the gender, women, family, and generational approach became an essential legal tool, enabling the judges to fully understand the true scope of the crimes and the harm suffered in Colombia while linking those findings to the victims' distinct needs and their expectations for reparation. Also, women have led and designed concrete initiatives for comprehensive reparation, restoration, and territorial reconciliation based on those territories. They have shown us that building a stable and lasting peace is only possible when it grows from the empowerment of local authorities and women leaders, recognizing their dignity, strength, resilience, and the social value of maternal love and the caregiving work that sustains the very fabric of life. Guaranteeing women's participation, for justice to contribute to transforming the continuum of violence affecting communities, and for peace to be truly sustainable, state institutions must ensure the conditions necessary for women's meaningful participation and empowerment. It's guaranteeing an effective participation. From the experience of this case 2, we offer the following recommendations: guaranteeing training opportunities and differentiated pathways for participation.
Diseñando mecanismos con enfoque de género, mujer, familia y generación, que respeten la dignidad, que respeten la diversidad y que promuevan.
Develop mechanisms based on a gender, women, family, and generational approach that respect, promote, and strengthen community organizing while incorporating the unique dynamic and realities of each territory. Also, it's very important to give the responsibility to ensure the availability of methodological, logistical, and financial resources. Women need meaningful support to meet, receive, training, travel, and prepare their participation in local, national, and international forums. In many territories, participating carries a significant economic cost, often requiring women to step away from their jobs, their family, in order to make their voices heard. So implementing differential approaches ensure the full implementation of these approaches, including ethnic, gender, women, family, and generational and intersectional territorial approaches throughout both the judicial process and the court's decisions. In other countries where this conflict persists, we have to take measures of protection grounded in a differential approach. Developing this protection collectively and individually, protection strategies that take into account the multidimensional risks women face, particularly where discrimination, exclusion, and racism intersect. In the Colombian context, violence persists. We're living in a post-agreement period, not a post-conflict one. Discrimination and state neglect remain among the structural causes of violence. The experience of Case 02 demonstrates the administering justice within its social and historical context, ensuring the participation of victims, especially women, and promoting interinstitutional coordination enables transitional justice to fulfill its purpose through dialogue, active listening, and a serious, sustained commitment to women. For that reason, political will must be reflected in public policies, backed by adequate financial resources, policies capable of responding to the challenges of societies in transition, and above all, to the diversity of both their people and their ecosystem. Ultimately, the challenge is to ensure that transitional justice not only investigates, prosecutes, and sanctions the horrors of the past, but also has the power to plant the seeds of a future that can flourish for generations to come between all women.
Duni se dice como en el idioma de mi pueblo, Pai, Anas, Yawats, gracias,
In
thank you.
my language and from my country as
Thank you
well, I
guys
say thank
very
you.
much for your wonderful presentation. Muchas gracias por compartir sus ideas con nosotros. Thank you so much. Now, our next speaker is Ms. Paula Ontiveros Vasquez from Mexico, the professor of law in National Autonomous University of Mexico. Due to unexpected schedule conflict, Paula will join us through a video presentation instead. Please join me in welcoming her.
Distinguished guests, colleagues, and fellow peace builders, it is an honor to join you today under the theme Regional Voices for Sustainable Peace, Women's Perspective Solutions and Policy Recommendations. I speak to you not only as a legal scholar, but as a private mediator and a peace builder. From this perspective, I have learned one fundamental lesson. Peace is not the absence of conflict. Conflict is a natural part of human relationships. Sustainable peace depends on what we do with conflict, whether we allow it to escalate into violence, division, and exclusion, or whether we transform it through dialogue, responsibility, and cooperation. This is why I believe that one of our most important investments must be the professional training of women mediators. Women have always participated in the informal work of peace building within families, schools, communities, workplaces, and social movements, yet their experience has too often remained invisible, informal, or excluded from decision-making spaces. Today, we must move from recognition to institutional action. According to UN, women remain significantly unrepresented in formal peace processes. This is not only a question of equality, it is a question of effectiveness and sustainability. When women participate meaningfully in mediation and peace building, they bring additional experiences, community knowledge, and perspective that can broaden the issues discussed and strengthen the legitimacy and local ownership of solutions. For this reason, my first policy recommendation is clear. We need permanent regional programs for the training, certification, mentoring, and networking of women mediators. Training must go beyond negotiation techniques. A modern peace mediator needs interdisciplinary skills, conflict analysis, communication, emotional intelligence, human rights, restorative practice, intercultural competence, trauma awareness, digital tools, and ethical leadership. Women must also have opportunities to practice these skills, receive mentorship, participate in mediator networks, and gain access to institutions where decisions are made. But professional mediation alone is not enough. My second recommendation is to make peace education a permanent public policy. A culture of peace is not inherited. It is learned, practiced, and constructed every day. The first lesson about respect, empathy, tolerance, and dialogue are often learned at home and in school, long before a person enters a courtroom or a formal mediation room. Therefore, conflict management education should be incorporated across schools, universities, public institutions, workplaces, and communities. We should teach people not to fear conflict, but to understand it. We should teach active listening, dialogue, collaborative problem solving, emotional regulation, and non-violent communication. If we only intervene when conflict has already become a lawsuit, a social crisis, or violence, we are intervening too late. This leads to my third recommendation. Alternative dispute resolution mechanisms must become part of the everyday architecture of justice and social coexistence. Mediation, conciliation, negotiation, and restorative practices should not be seen as a secondary alternative to real justice. They are essential pathways to access to justice and social peace. They can create spaces where people are heard, where relationships can be repaired, and where solutions can respond to the real interest and needs to those involved. As a private mediator, I have seen that a conflict is rarely only about the legal claim presented on paper. Behind it, They may be fear, identity, family history, cultural differences, broken communication, or the need to be recognized. Law is essential, but sustainable peace also requires us to understand the human dimension of conflict. Finally, we must recognize women not only as beneficiaries of peace policy, but as designers and leaders of them. Women's leadership should not be reduced to occupying a seat at the table. Meaningful participation means having the capacity to influence the agenda, shape institutions, design solutions, and transform the way societies respond to conflict. And this leadership should not be based on confrontation between women and men. Sustainable peace requires shared responsibility. Gender equality should strengthen cooperation, dignity, and mutual recognition. The goal is not to replace one form of exclusion with another, but to build societies in which every person can contribute to peace. So, from a regional perspective, I propose 4 concrete priorities. Invest in professional networks and training pathways for women mediators, integrate peace and conflict management education into educational and public institutions, strengthen access to mediation and other alternative dispute resolution mechanisms, and ensure that women participate meaningfully in the design, implementation, and evaluation of peace policies. Our regions are diverse and our conflicts are different, but we share a common responsibility to build institutions and communities capable of managing disagreements without destroying relationships or human dignity. Women are already transforming societies as mediators, educators, researchers, workers, mothers, professionals, community leaders, and public decisions makers. Our task now is to provide structures, resources, education, and opportunities that allow this leadership to multiply. Peace is not something we simply hope for. Peace is a professional capacity, a civic responsibility, and educational process on a daily practice. If we train more women to mediate, educate new generations for dialogue, strengthen peaceful mechanisms for managing conflict, and open decisions spaces to women's leadership, we will not only resolve more dispute, we will transform the way our societies live together. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Paula, for the wonderful recommendations. For me, her words that cultural peace is not inherent, but learned and practiced in our everyday lives is truly resonating. Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Ms. Cynthia G. Carvalho Brum from Brazil. She is the manager of Disque Denuncia Mulher, a women's violence reporting and supporting program of Instituto Mobril in Brazil. Please join me in welcoming her. Ms. Cynthia, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for having me. And I'm so happy to be here with all these amazing women from everywhere in the world. And I want to share with you a bit about what we are doing here in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. So I am the manager of Disque Denuncia Mulher, which is, can you go to the next, please, slide? It's basically we got reports. They are all anonymous from the citizens. So people can call us, send messages on WhatsApp or our app to report any type of violence against women. And the most different thing is that the reporter, the person who's reporting, is protected by the anonymous. So no, we don't know who is calling or sending this. And this way we make everyone participate of the process to protect and help women. We have been working in Rio de Janeiro about 30 years, but we only created the project for women 3 years ago, and has been a success. Can you go to the next, please? So the situation in Brazil in the violence against women is really raising and very bad. And in 2023, we had 1,449 cases of femicides. 2024, it increased, and then 2025 it was the record. It's a very bad record for us, and we see all the type of violence increasing, and that's what we are working now to try to reduce. But I think this is a global problem. It's not only in Brazil. Can you go to the next, please? These numbers here, they are from the Disque Denúncia Mulher, our project. And then we started to contabilize these numbers in 2024. It was 912 reports. In 2025, it was 1,390. And then now, only for July, we have 878. So we are projecting to get about 1,500 reports. When you get these reports, we send to the policy, to the just system, depending on the content of the report. If it's something, it's an emergency, it's currently happening, we send to the closest police station. If it's something that needs investigation, we send to our civil policy, which is the one who does the investigation. It's a long process. Can you go to the next, please? And one thing I want to get the attention here, because I have a lot of data we collected, but one important point here is more than 5,300% of the cases we got reported have kids involved. So 5,300, more than 5,300, they watch their mom being punched or killed. So we have kids watching this type of violence, growing with trauma, and they think this is normal. This is the model family. If the boy watches his father doing that with his mom, he thinks this is how he should treat a woman, or sister, or mother, or a future wife. And then the girls watch and think that's how they are loved by their partners or the men. So it's very important, because there is no peace when half of the population is in dangers. So what we are trying to do is to build peace, protecting women. We can't do everything, but we are trying to do what we can with our partners. And I think building peace and protect women make our families stronger. We have safer children, more resilient communities, because if women are safe, the community are safe too. And also about the great trust in institutions. We have many institutions, and people are not believing in them because they watch women going, asking for help, and they are dying. What is happening? What's going wrong? So we are all working together here with all the institutions we can, the justice, the policy, to see how can we solve it, because it's a very complex problem, and it's passed through economic stuff, go to social development, etc. Can you pass to the next, please? And here again, when we protect women, we are protecting more than one person. We are protecting family, children, and everyone, because we believe that strong communities are the foundation of lasting peace. Next, please. And again, there's no peace when half the population lives in fear. Our women, more than 50%, they are the owner of the house. They are the leader of the house. They go work to raise their kids. They are economic activists. They have many type of works. They work at work, they work at home, no paid labor. So all this, I think we are discussing here, but it's, I think we need more time, more events together to discuss about. Next, please. So we think also we cannot just punish, because we don't want to like man the prison, the jail after kill a woman. We want this women alive, and the kids too. So I prepared this project 1 year ago. Actually, it's complete 1 year, called the Caravana de Mulher. It's we go basically to find these women and all the people around them. We are not waiting for them to call asking for help. We are going to these communities. In Brazil, I don't know if you heard about the favelas, where are very poor communities and marginalized population. So we go there and make a discussion with them. And it's not only women, because we are used to say to women, you should protect yourself, you should leave this man, you should not go in this relationship. But what about the other people? Because it's all about the culture, how we are growing, raising kids, teenagers, and the men. So let's involve everyone and stop to put the responsibility only in women, because they are the victims. So we are putting everyone together, because it's usually we talk about in the past, not now anymore, but in the past we used to say that against violence women, it's a private thing, a problem. This is not, this is a social problem to everyone. So we are involving kids, teenagers, men, everyone, the community in this discussion. So we do dynamics, we talk to them, and many of them surprisingly don't even know they are going through a violence. They are suffering from psychology, violence. They have no idea. So we are providing knowledge, dynamics. Many of them are analphabets. They don't know how to write or read. So we need to give them this knowledge. That's what we are doing. And it have been amazing project, because even surprised us. We had no idea how big it would be. So we are going back to the communities where we have been, talk to them, getting some feedbacks and expanding. So now we are going to the companies. Many companies that are partners of NGO where I work, Disque Denúncia, because these employees, these workers, they go home. They have wives at home, they have mothers, sisters, daughters. So we are going to talk not only with them, but especially to get them and trying to change the speech, because many of them get attacked or offended when we talk and say, oh, you are just saying that I am aggressive or I am the problem. No, you are part of the solution. So we need you to protect the women. And this is having working like very good, actually. We are getting a lot of men by our side and helping us to raise this voice. Next, please. So these are pictures of the projects. We go talk with the groups, or like there's some old ladies here. They are from we call I don't know, I don't remember the name in English to translate, but they are the good age, we say in Brazil. So they are retired already, but they go every morning to this group to have breakfast or do physical activities. That's where we talk to them. So very different type of profiles of people. We want to reach everyone, and they go and share with their family and etc. Next, please. So I think investing in women's safety, again, it's not only investment in women, it's investment for more peace, justice, and resilient societies. And I think this is very important for us to spread this speech and everyone to understand how it's important for all of us. And if anyone wants to know more, I can share later. Just contact me. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And again, it's very nice to meet everyone here. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your insightful presentation, Cynthia. Actually, I have some questions about the DD mural, but let me ask you during the Q&A session. So
Okay.
please stay with us until the end. Thank you so much. Now, our next speaker is Ms. Yvonne Adriana Gaitan Verdrui, professor and researcher of Juarez Autonomous University of Tabasco, as well as IWPG UJAT Peace Committee representative. She represents in Spanish, so English interpretation is available in the interpretation menu. Please join me in welcoming her. Yvonne, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Jasmine. Hello, really, good morning. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you to share the activities and results of the Peace Committee UJAT with IWPG Philosophy, operando obviamente con el institutional program Focus the Culture, the Paz and Healthy, Salud Mental Healthy of UJAT. El development of global cities and neuro leaders. The material used, like said Jasmine, in this presentation is in both Spanish and English.
This presentation is in both Spanish and English to ensure it can be understood simultaneously, but due to my lack of skill, it will be primarily in Spanish. I apologize for my English pronunciation. This presentation covers the actions taken by the communities of Ujat in support of IWPG, which has impacted more than 300 students in the last 5 months with the university.
10,000 students, but now
we have 10,000 students, but now for the first time, we're already working with 300. My participation is to educate the integration of a culture of peace, because we need to change the mentality and the practices that we have in other institutions and organizations. And IWPG has started in 2 years to change the minds and understanding many stories of success and great practices. My commitment to IWPG UJAT and my promise, my compromise, is to work and sign, like I've put here. You can see in Spanish and in English, implementing initiatives with the young people. There's very grave situations and problems that are psychological or mental, and through these processes impact socioeconomics and the political side. In the School of Law, there was a case in February of suicide. And we're finding all of these problems of mental health and psychology. So we should have a process of signing some kind of program, legitimate program that can be instituted to work together with all of the political family and to have this reunion that happens automatically with the rector. We can begin to develop with this program to institute a culture of peace at the international level, with other practices and institutions and organizations and countries. And that's what we've been currently working on through the university. We've started to find, through these universities, an international program with professional practices and social services. We have some of 15 that IWPG
hicimos una convocatoria abierta a la universidad y la sorpresa es que se registraron
what we've started in the university.
Para bailar por la paz.
What surprised us the most is through these activities that we've implemented in the university, there were 100 students that actually performed this dance for peace, hip hop, and They performed all of these dances. They did this challenge for the sake of promoting peace. So we want to begin instilling these programs so we can learn how we can actually listen to the students and how we can listen to other people and other young people of different generations. It's very distinct in the ways that we can actually learn from one another and teach. How we can have more empathy and to understand better mental health and neuroscience and what it is that we've been implementing in these last 5 months. All the speakers that are here, we know America, we know the violence, but of course we don't want to speak in a negative way. We want to speak in a way that is positive, with small actions that we can achieve much bigger hearts. Part of this committee, I know that it begins with our smallest of actions that can make this difference with the government, with the economy. And it's what we've managed to accomplish in less than 5 months. As instructors of peace, there's many surprises of what people are doing in terms of creativity and uniting with universities like UJAT and IWPG, how we can help include the younger generations to be involved. So they're not only just attending university, but they're also helping in the community. All these photos that you're seeing, they're gathering and they're participating so that it helps them to become more united and have empathy.
Next. No, bueno, hemos hecho ahorita para poder nosotros hacer sondeo, pues quisimos hacer un congreso internacional interdisciplinario de gestores de paz y de responsabilidad.
We began by implementing this international congression of peace and responsibility. We see they're working with culture and arts. We see what we can do to implement. More than 120 people that actually, or students and young generations and children that actually helped with this. We want to see that there are other activities that we can do. And like we can see through these photos how incredible it actually was. Upon opening these programs, we have a lot of demand that we can open an office, an entire office within the university that helps with establishing peace. We know that violence, that it exists, and that we have to reduce it, that we have to do something positive, something that's inclusive. I know the situation of my country and the situation of violence within, but we have to educate the population, and that one way or another, we can continue moving forward with this knowledge and empathy. So we've met with the Secretary of the State to implement through the schools these activities that help promote peace. We know clearly the violence that exists,
podemos hacerle cambiar conceptos de que hay gente que cree
We
que un
can speak of
problema
all
es
of these
algo grave cuando un
concepts,
problema
and
no es ni la mitad, un problema es algo que no podemos solucionar. Lo que no podemos permitir
when we
es que
feel like this
surja la
problem is something
violencia.
that we
Y
don't have
estamos
of a
enseñando a
solution.
ellos cursos de resiliencia, de obviamente un trabajo que lo que nos está sobrepasando a nosotros en 5 meses
But there are
es que
these
hay
courses
mucho
and
interés en que los jóvenes quieren participar al
work
punto que tuve que cerrar
and many things that we can do
la
together in
demanda
order to
de prácticas profesionales y servicio social porque se nos
help
llenó
inspire
en la
the younger
escuela de
generations to
derecho.
be able to work together,
Entonces, ahorita estamos
especially
trabajando
in the
ya tenemos
university and
educadores en
through
esa práctica y psicólogos que entraron para que para que hiciéramos un programa
through the
que
Department
solamente son
of
los
Law.
jóvenes. Nosotros solamente somos los guías, juntamos filosofía
And we're doing it,
IWPG,
educating
juntamos
and helping all of the younger
programación
generations to do so. We're
mental
only here
y
working as the
hicimos una
guides that are
buena
helping them,
conexión y creo que en los 5 meses
and
hemos
we serve
tenido
as a
una
good
participación de
connection.
más de 300 alumnos de diferentes campus. La UJAT tiene más, como comenté, 12 campus con más de 10,000 alumnos.
UJAT,
Entonces, yo
the
creo que
university,
nuestro
has more
granito de
than
arena
12
va a ser
fields,
esos 10,000 alumnos ahorita, pero que también cambiarlos para que dentro de sus aspectos profesionales puedan ayudar a la comunidad,
and
pero
through
de
these
su comunidad,
professional
no de la
aspects
comunidad, porque también respetamos
of the
las
University of the Law and of the
identidades y
community.
las pertinencias. Entonces, la que sigue, por favor, todos estos aspectos, actividades,
All of these
son las
aspects of
que
these
nosotros estamos
activities,
promoviendo ante
it's
Rectoría
what we're
para el nuevo
promoting,
eje que se va a crear dentro del programa institucional de la UJAT. Y sí
creating
podemos definitivamente que va a
inside
ser
this
por
institutional
un
program at the
enfoque
university.
no negativo, porque nosotros hemos leído de verdad que
Uh,
todos los
uh,
programas de cultura, y
of
eso sí lo
course,
aprendimos muy
through
claramente en IWPG, que el
a
lenguaje no
positive
sea
nature and
negativo.
positive
Le
speaking,
habla y dice, es que nosotros
and
vamos a
nothing
trabajar
negative.
por la violencia, por eso. No, nosotros cambiamos el tópico.
So we're not saying things like,
Ponemos,
"Oh, we're working to help limit
programa
violence,"
es para
or we're using that kind of
sensibilizar en el
language.
amor,
We're
en la
using the language
empatía,
that this
muchas
program is to
cosas que
help
quizá institucionalmente
implement
para nosotros
sensibility and
es
love
nuevo,
and
pero
empathy.
también leer en positivo, ¿sí? También leer en positivo ayuda a
Reading and
cambiar
speaking
la
in
neurociencia y
this
la
language,
neurociencia de nuestro cerebro.
positive
Por eso
language.
estamos trabajando con los jóvenes, ya que no sé si yo las
And we're
demás,
working together with the younger
las demás
generation and with
circunstancias, pero
the
sí que
students.
vean que en la foto estamos trabajando con los chicos.
And like you can
El Día
see
del Amor y la
through the
Amistad,
photo, we're also
regalamos,
working with
¿cómo se llama?
younger
Lapiceros,
children and
regalamos
helping them from a young
pulseras
age.
rojas para la suerte. Hemos hacerles entender a los chicos que la universidad sí se preocupa por su calidad humana. Y como lo que dije al
And that
principio,
they're
lo
working
dije muy
together for this cause
claramente,
because, of course, they also worry
acciones
about
pequeñas
their
para
quality of life too.
resultados de corazones grandes de paz. Lo que queremos es que
So
el
that the
alumno,
purpose
el
is to achieve
estudiante,
the result of
sienta la
having
paz como
greater
una
hearts
forma
for
de
the work of
vida,
peace,
aún con
that it becomes a
violencia,
form of our
problemas,
life,
disputas y peleas.
although
No
there's
podemos cambiar al mundo,
violence
pero sí
and
podemos
problem
cambiarnos a nosotros
that we
mismos.
encounter,
Y esa es nuestra responsabilidad.
better through us, we
Es
can
cuanto.
change. And
Ya
we
que no
have
sé si yo los demás
responsibility.
presentaciones. Hay mucho material con de verdad.
There's
mucho
so much material, so much
Gracias.
material that we can use to implement this. Thank you so
very
much.
Yvonne, for your inspiring presentation with beautiful memories and beautiful activities. Thank you so much. Muchas gracias. Our next speaker is Ms. Leticia Rodriguez Zarate from Bolivia. She is Business Intelligence Analysis in Mamayatec. Please join me in welcoming her. Leticia, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. First of all, thank you for the opportunity. It is an honor to represent Bolivia and gay women from across the Americas in this important conversation about sustainable peace. Okay. Next, please. Thank you. When we hear the word peace, we often think about the absence of war or conflict. However, sustainable peace is much broader. It is built through education, equal opportunities, innovation, resilient institutions, and inclusive development. Peace is created every day through the decisions we make, the opportunities we provide, and the solutions we develop for our communities. Next slide, please. That is why today I would like to discuss an often overlooked contributor to sustainable peace: women in STEM. Latin America is a region rich in talent, creativity, and diversity, yet it also faces major challenges. Climate change, food security, digital transformation, public health, sustainable industrial development, and economic inequality require innovative and evidence based solutions. STEM disciplines, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, provide the knowledge and the tools to address these challenges. However, the region is still not benefiting from the full potential of its talent. According to UNESCO, women represent 53.1% of higher education students in Latin America and the Caribbean. Yet only 26.9% of engineering students are women, and women also remain underrepresented in technology and mathematics programs. This is not only a gender gap, it is an innovation gap. When women are excluded from STEM, societies lose ideas, perspectives, and solutions that could improve people's lives. Next slide, please. As an industrial engineer from Bolivia working in business intelligence, I have learned that engineering is fundamentally about solving problems. Every day I use data to support decision making, improve processes, and help organizations operate more effectively. Engineering teaches to analyze systems, optimize resources, and design sustainable solutions. These are not only technical skills, they are also essential skills for building resilient communities. Whether we are improving healthcare systems, developing cleaner industries, and strengthening the food production, or using technology to improve public services, STEM professionals contribute directly to sustainable development. When more women participate in these fields, communities benefit from more diverse perspectives, more inclusive innovation, and better decision making. Next slide, please. So, how can we transform this challenge into an opportunity? I believe the answer begins with four interconnected actions. First, inspire girls early by ensuring they see STEM not as an exception, but as a possibility. Role models matter because young women are more likely to pursue careers when they can see people like themselves succeeding. Second, strengthen mentorship networks. Guidance from professionals helps students develop confidence, navigate challenge, and transition successfully into workplace. Third, build stronger partnerships between universities, industry, and governments. These partnerships create internships, research opportunities, innovation projects, and practical experience that prepare women to become future leaders. Finally, invest in women-led innovation. Supporting research, entrepreneurship, and technological initiatives led by women generate solutions with long-term social and economic impact. These actions are practical, they're scalable, and they can be adapted throughout Latin America. The lasting progress also depends on public policy. Next slide, please. Government should invest in equally STEM education from an early age and remove barriers that discourage girls from pursuing technical careers. Universities should strengthen research opportunities, leadership development, and interdisciplinary collaboration. The private sector should create inclusive workplaces, mentorship programs, and equal opportunities for professional growth. International organizations can facilitate regional cooperation by sharing successful initiatives and supporting collaborative innovation across borders. When these sectors work together, they can create an ecosystem where talent, not gender, determines opportunity. Next slide, please. I would like to conclude with one final reflection. We often think that peace is built only through negotiations or political agreements. Those efforts are essential, but sustainable peace is also built in classrooms, in laboratories, in universities, in research centers, in engineering firms, and in technology companies. It is built wherever people develop solutions that improve lives. Every young woman who enters STEM represents more than one professional. She represents new ideas, stronger communities, greater innovation, and new possibilities for sustainable development. Empowering women in STEM is not simply an investment in education or employment. It is an investment in resilience, it is an investment in innovation, and ultimately, it is an investment in sustainable peace. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Leticia. Let us end your piece with IWPG. Thank you. Our final speaker is Ms. Angelica Cerratos Subiria from Mexico, founder of Ahara, and she's been waiting patiently. Please join me in welcoming her. Angelica, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Muchas gracias. Bueno, mi presentación el día de hoy va a ser en
Thank you so
español.
much.
Y me gustaría
My
hablar
presentation
sobre
is
una
in Spanish, and I'm
situación
speaking
por
about
las que todas las que estamos aquí
a,
pasamos.
a
Y
situation
es que
that all of us
durante casi
here
toda la historia de la
understand.
humanidad, la
For
menstruación
almost the
ha sido
entire
tratada
history
como
of
algo
humankind,
peligroso.
menstruation
Hace más
was
de 2000
treated as something
años, en
dangerous.
el Imperio Romano,
2,000
había un
years ago, the
naturalista
Roman naturalist
que se llamaba
Pliny
Plinio
the
el
Elder
Viejo.
wrote
Él
that
escribió que una
menstruating
mujer
women
menstruando podría agriar el
could
vino,
sour wine,
marchitar los cultivos y
wither
matar las
crops,
abejas con solo
and kill
acercarse.
bees simply by coming
Esto no
near.
es broma, para ellos
This was not a
era
joke.
ciencia. Mucho
It was
antes de
science
esto, la
for its
medicina
time.
griega inventó
Long
la
before
idea del
that,
útero
Greek
errante.
medicine invented
Esta
the
es la
idea of the
creencia de que la
wandering
mujer era
womb,
por
the
naturaleza
belief that a woman's
inestable
body
e
was by
histérica.
nature
Y así,
unstable
en
and
incontables
hysterical.
culturas, a la mujer que
And in
menstruaba
countless
se le guardaba
cultures,
en
the
cabañas de
menstruating woman
aislamiento,
was set apart.
en prohibición, en
Isolation,
silencio. La
huts,
palabra misma que
prohibitions, and in
usamos como
silence.
tabú para describir la
The very
menstruación
word we use
se
is
refería
considered taboo,
originalmente a lo
and it
prohibido, a lo
originally
impuro,
meant the
a lo
forbidden
que si
and
se
the
rompe o
impure.
se habla de está mal. Next slide, please.
It speaks about something that breaks or that is
Y
bad.
durante muchos años, justamente por esto, porque es un tabú,
For
la
centuries,
menstruación es algo que no se nombraba. Y lo que
that
no
which is
nombramos no
menstruation
empezamos
was
a
considered
estudiar.
unnamed,
Es
hidden, and
algo que
shameful.
nos avergonzaba.
It was a
Incluso
name that
cuando
wasn't
nosotras
studied.
como mujeres no nos
What is not
enseñaron
studied is
a
not
ocultar
treated.
una toalla o un tampón cuando la llevábamos al
That is
baño,
the
por
inheritance
ejemplo.
we still carry.
Y esa es la herencia con la que aún cargamos, el hecho de que si no lo nombramos, no podemos atenderlo como conflicto. Sin embargo, hoy por fin algo
However,
está empezando a cambiar.
finally,
Next slide, please.
something is changing.
Empezamos a hablar de la idea de la menstruación en las escuelas. Ya
We've
existe un
started
movimiento
speaking
que
about
combate la pobreza
the concept of
menstrual.
menstruation in
Se
school.
discute
There's
el
global
impuesto a los
movement
productos
against
que
period
llamamos
poverty.
rosa, el
We
acceso
debate the
al
tax
agua,
on
a la
products,
dignidad,
access
y
to
esto es
water,
un avance
and
real.
dignity.
Pero
This
también
is
hay que
real
ser honestos
progress.
sobre los
But I
límites
want to
de
be
cómo
honest
hemos
about
roto el
its
tabú.
limits.
Porque casi toda esta conversación la hemos
Because
tenido
almost
en
all
lo
of
que
the
vemos por fuera o
conversation
en los
has stayed with
entornos
what
como
is visible
las
from the
toallas
outside,
o el
the
baño, los productos
products, the
menstruales.
bathroom, the
Pero
pad,
aún no hemos avanzado tanto en discutir lo que
and
ocurre
it's not
dentro del
urgent.
cuerpo.
So even though
Vemos
we've
parte
made
del silencio de la
advancements,
menstruación
it's
como
far
un
less
acto de
according to
higiene,
what happens
pero
inside
seguimos
the body.
casi mudas ante la menstruación como
We broke
un
part of the
problema de
silence
salud.
around menstruation as
Porque
hygiene,
salir del tabú del producto
but we
es
remain
como que salir del
almost
tabú de lo
mute
que se
about
vive,
menstruation
del
as health,
dolor que causa específicamente esta
leaving the
situación.
taboo of the
Y
products
es ahí donde
behind
vivimos algunas mujeres
is
como
not the
yo,
same
de las que quiero
as leaving the taboo of the
compartir.
pain.
Next slide, please. La endometriosis y el
And
síndrome
there's
de
a
ovario
blind spot
metabólico
is
poliendocrino,
where the women I want to
antes
tell you about
conocido como
live.
síndrome de ovario poliquístico,
Endometriosis
afecta
and
a una de cada 10 mujeres.
metabolic
Esta es la única
polyendocrine
prevalència
ovarian
que tiene
syndrome,
la diabetes. Sin embargo, la diabetes
PMOS,
la oímos
what
mencionar
until
casi
recently
todos
was
los
called
días.
polycystic ovarian
Encontramos
syndrome,
información,
affect 1 in
clínicas
10 women.
especializadas,
The same
medicamentos,
prevalence as
y es
diabetes,
algo a lo que se
they are
tiene más
chronic,
acceso
real,
que
and
el
sometimes
conocimiento
disabling
sobre estos dos
diseases.
padecimientos. De hecho, el 70% de los casos nunca son diagnosticados.
70% of
¿Y
these
por qué?
cases are not
Lo
diagnosed.
retomo, porque
Why?
el tabú nunca fue roto del todo. Solo se cambió
Because this
la
taboo was
forma
not
en que
completely broken.
hablamos de la menstruación y el dolor menstrual. Hoy ya no llamamos a una mujer con cólicos fuertes impura. Hoy le decimos exagerada. le decimos
We can look at a
que
woman who's experiencing these
es
symptoms and think,
solamente dolor que se
maybe
aguanta.
it's
Una
maybe it's
disculpa, ¿cómo se
exaggerated, this
escucha?
pain and these
Porque
symptoms.
veo aquí los comentarios. Muchísimas gracias. Bien, hoy ya no la aislamos en una cabaña, sino la sentamos en un consultorio por 7 minutos y le decimos, sí, está bien, es normal, toma
If
pastillas
we
anticonceptivas.
visit the
De
doctor,
hecho,
if
en
we
México
try to find help in some
una
place, then
mujer
they'll talk to us for
afectará
just 5
6
minutes and then they'll
años
tell us, yes, of
diagnosticarla
course,
con
it's normal.
endometriosis. 6 años en que le dijeron en que tardaron en
6
primero
years
decirle que
on
era
average to
médica.
be diagnosed with this,
Pero ¿saben qué?
with
Para un
endometriosis.
sujeto, ella misma era médica. Imagínense si el sistema no le crea a
But
una mujer
it's
con un título de
something
medicina,
medical. It's something
¿qué nos espera
serious.
al resto? Y esto no es mala suerte clínica, es, de nuevo, seguir
If the system,
perpetuando el tabú de hace más de 2000 años y decir que algo que es tan común nunca lo fue.
this
o que
woman
no
that
es
we met in
normal,
Mexico,
y
it
esto
took
no es
6
justo.
years to diagnose her, and she was
Además,
told that
también
it
hay
was
una
all in her
barrera
head,
en
but
la
she
que
herself was
casi
actually a
nadie
doctor.
se fija.
So if the
Y
system
es
won't
una de
believe
las
a
razones
woman
por las
who
cuales
holds a
muy
medical
poco
degree, what
aparece
chance does it
información
give
en
the rest?
español.
This
Y
is
es
not
el
clinical
idioma.
bad luck. It's
En
the
mi
latest
país,
version
México,
of 2,000-year-old
millones
taboo.
de mujeres, empezando por los 7 millones
And to
que
say
hablan una
something
lengua
is
veterinaria,
common was
no
never the
cuentan
same
con
as saying it
datos
is normal
confiables
or
sobre
that
su
it is
salud en
just.
sus
There's
propias
also a
palabras,
barrier almost no
ya
one
sea todo
names,
está en
language.
inglés o en términos médicos
In
muy
my country,
rebuscados
millions of women,
para
beginning with the
mujeres
7 million who
normales
speak
en
an
nuestro
indigenous
propio país.
language, cannot find
Precisamente
trustworthy
porque
information
estos
about their
tabúes
health in their own
se
words.
abordan como un todo, desde la
Almost everything is in
nutrición, el
English
estilo de
or
vida
in
y el
medical language
ejercicio.
written for someone else.
Entonces, imagínense si una mujer que no puede acceder a
A woman
información
who
sobre su
cannot
cuerpo
access
no
information
puede
about her body
reconocer
cannot
que esto
recognize that her
es
pain is a
una
warning.
alarma. El derecho a la salud para millones de
The right
mujeres
to health
empieza
for
por el
millions of
derecho a
women
entender.
begins with the
Por
right to
eso también
understand.
importa lo que hace la comunidad internacional, como el día de hoy que estamos aquí reunidas.
That is why
En
what the international
2021,
community
la
did
ONU
recently matters so
vinculó por
much.
primera
In
vez la salud
2021, the
menstrual al
UN
derecho
linked
a la
menstrual
salud.
health to the right to
En
health for the first
2024,
time.
la
And in
OMS lo
2024,
dijo ya sin rodeos.
the World Health
La salud
Organization said
menstrual
it
es un
plainly.
derecho fundamental.
Menstrual
Y esto
health is a
cambia la
fundamental
forma
human
porque
right that
sí es un
changes the
derecho,
language.
pero ¿qué tanto nos contradice
Because if it is a right,
un
then a
diagnóstico que tarda
diagnosis that takes
más de
9
9 años
years
y una mujer tiene que
is not an
consultar a 5
oversight,
especialistas
it's a violation.
para poder tener el derecho a tener esta información y entender su cuerpo? Si lo vemos de esta
A
manera,
violation of being able to, for a
consideramos
woman
que
to be
ya
able to
es un
understand her
derecho,
own body.
entonces esto no es un descuido, es una
And not
vulneración de
believing a
ese
woman
derecho.
is not poor medicine.
Y
It's
el no
discrimination.
creerle a una mujer lo que está diciendo y lo que está viviendo no es una mala práctica médica, es discriminación. Entonces, next slide,
Then,
please. Entonces, como estamos en un foro para la paz, déjenme
since
decirles
we're
algo
at a
que es
forum
paz
for
para mí.
peace,
La paz no solo
let
se
me say
trata de la
what peace
ausencia
means
de
to me.
guerra o de
Peace is
conflictos.
not only the
Para
absence of
una
war.
mujer, la
For a
paz
woman,
es que
peace
le
is being
crean cuando
believed when she
les
says
dice
she's
que
in
huele.
pain.
Es tener autoridad y decisión sobre su propio cuerpo.
It's having
Es no
authority
tener
over
que
her own
pelear
body.
durante años solo para ser
It's
entendida.
not having to fight for years
No hay
simply to be
igualdad ni
understood.
paz duradera en un mundo que le pide a la mitad de
There's
la
no
gente,
equality
o más
and no
de la
lasting
mitad que somos
peace
las
in a
mujeres,
world that asks
que
half
se
its
aguante el
people
dolor en
to
silencio.
endure in silence.
Sacar la menstruación del tabú y
Taking
llevarla al
menstruation
terreno de
out
los
of the
derechos
taboo and
humanos
into the realm of
no es un
rights
tema de
is not a
género,
woman's
es la
issue.
partida hacia un
It is part of the
camino a
path
una
toward a more
sociedad más
just
justa y
peace for
en paz.
everyone.
Y esto es un
That is
tipo
the
de
work
trabajo al que yo
to which I
me
devote my
dedico.
life.
Next slide, please. Creando ERA, un proyecto
With
que justamente se
Kira,
encarga de llevar la información
we are building
a
a
las
free
mujeres.
tool that brings information to every
Es una
woman in her
aplicación
own
gratuita
language
en la que hacemos
and
grupos de ayuda
turns her pain
para
into
llegar a las
evidence
mujeres con
so that
endometriosis
at
y
last
síndrome de ovario metabólico poliendocrino. La información.
she's believed. For
Esto que se nos ha sido
endometriosis, for
negado por tanto
PMOS,
tiempo y
for
también
all of these
escucharla,
conditions that we haven't
porque
understood for years and that she
lamentablemente
hasn't been believed for
esto
years, she can
no es
finally be
solamente
understood.
de la sangre que derramamos cada mes, sino también de cómo nos sentimos, incluso de la vida sexual,
It
afecta en el trabajo,
doesn't only affect
en las
how we bleed
escuelas,
every single month and
y
how
es
we're
algo de lo
feeling.
que
It
tenemos que
affects
empezar a
everything that
hablar.
has
Es
to
por
do
eso
with
que el día
the
de hoy
intimate, the
asignó todo
sexual,
el
how we're able
espacio
to
como
function
algo
in
normal,
school and work and
como algo
society.
de lo que debemos de hablar. Nuestros cuerpos tienen
It's
su
something
propia
that we should be able to talk about, that we shouldn't have to keep in silence,
herramienta gratuita que lleva a las mujeres la información en su propio idioma.
that we're bringing this information forward to women
Hemos sido
in
reconocidas como
their
ganadora
appropriate
de un
language.
premio por Dior y la UNESCO. Y desde este lugar les pido no que se compadezcan del dolor de las mujeres, sino que
And
ayuden a
I'm not
que se
asking that we
crean
just pity
y se
women's
les
pain.
escuche.
I'm asking that you
Los
help to make
derechos
sure women are
menstruales son
believed,
derechos
that they're
humanos
counted,
desde
that
hoy.
they're heard, that
Y
menstrual
toda
rights
mujer
are
merece
human
saber
rights,
que el
not
cuerpo del
someday,
que le enseñaron a
now.
dudar, el cuerpo del que le
And
enseñaron
every
a
woman
avergonzarse, tiene
deserves
sentido
to know a
y
simple
por
truth
eso
about the
estamos
body
aquí
she was taught to
para
doubt.
demostrarlo.
Her body makes
Muchísimas
sense,
gracias.
and we're here to prove it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Angelica, for highlighting such an important issue. This is really essential for building a more justice and inclusive and peaceful society. Thank you. And thank you all of our panelists. So before we move on to our second live poll, I'd like to once again ask one question to each panelist to help our participants to gain deeper understanding of the idea and recommendation that we have been shared. As a gentle reminder, due to time constraint, we kindly ask each panelist to keep their response to around 1 minute. Your ideas have provided valuable directions for action. First, I'd like to ask Erica.
Yes.
Why do you say that women's economic independence is not just an equality issue, but a strategy for building peace and strengthening democracy?
Because for decades we have spoken about legal equality, and it seems it's only on books. So therefore, today I dare to speak about economic sovereignty because statistics show that a lot of forms of violence have to do with economy, and also because women have been relegated and are not earning the same money for the same work. So today I would like to put a little seed of maybe that together, all of us, we can achieve financial independence, and help women gain freedom. And if women, millions of women gain freedom, the democracies will be strengthened, families will be living better, and children will have better futures. The economy will flourish, and peace will no longer be an aspiration because it's all about politics and money tied up with peace. And I think women has been relegated in many aspects, including this one. So I think this can stop to be an aspiration and become a reality.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your insightful response.
My
Thank you so
pleasure.
much. Before going to the next questions, further, I have a small announcement. Those who wants to, those for the spe those for the speaker who speak in Spanish, and please choose the original channel. And for the English presenter, please choose the Spanish channel so that you can listen, translation, interpretations. Hope this makes sense to you. Now, let me ask questions to Belkis. So what are the main obstacles to implementing an approach that takes into account ethnicity, gender, women, family, and generation in the juridical process?
Muchas gracias. Dentro de los
Thank
principales
you.
obstáculos que será necesario trabajar muy fuerte
The
para
principal
poder
obstacles,
superarlos es, primero, hay una
first,
persistencia de tener una visión
there's a
individual
persistence to
personal del
have
daño y dificulta reconocer
individual
afectaciones
material of
sexuales, familiares, psicológicas, emocionales, comunitarias y
in
territoriales
this
que
individual
sufren
material
las
approach to
mujeres
everything in terms
urbanas y las
of
mujeres campesinas y
family,
rurales. En segundo
women,
lugar,
political,
hay una
economical.
insuficiente incorporación de metodologías
There's an insufficient
interculturales
incorporation
multidisciplinarias que
um,
articulen saberes jurídicos,
connections between
psicosociales,
everything that's
ambientales,
cultural,
culturales y espirituales en la investigación judicial. porque
uh,
todo esto es una
and
unidad
experiences within these realms.
En tercer lugar, las barreras para documentar los hechos o los crímenes derivados del miedo.
Also, there's insufficient ways in which all of these events, the violence, the protection is actually being documented and implemented.
Se trabaje por escenarios culturalmente seguros, escenarios donde no tengamos miedo. Y en cuarto lugar, la limitada
and we have to create this space in which we don't have fear for implementing these things, and that we can implement these things for all women, culturally, those who are indigenous, those who are in different countries. It's to say that it's necessary that the voice of women remains strong in this process. We have to focus convert all of these ideas and all of these steps of the process into something that is actually effective.
Thank you, Belkis, for sharing your wonderful insight. Thank you so much. Next, let's turn to Cynthia. Cynthia, can you turn the video? Okay. Cynthia, based on the experience of Jiski Indonesia Muller, what is the most important lesson that other countries can learn about the role of women's safety in building more peaceful communities?
I think one of the most important lessons from our experience is that the women's safety cannot be treated only as a response to violence, must be seen as an investment in peace building. And when women have safe and accessible ways to report violence, when communities are engaged, and when the institutions work together to provide protection, trust begins to grow, and the trust strengthens families, empower the communities, and help to prevent future in violence. And our experience shows that protect women is not only about individual rights; it's about creating more resilient, inclusive, and peaceful communities and society. So I believe this is the lesson that we can adapt to many other countries. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing those valuable insights. Thank you. Now, let me ask a very practical question to Yvonne. So what are the upcoming projects for the IWPG and UHAT committee for 2026?
Thanks, Jasmine. Thanks all, Angelica, Leticia, Belkis, Cynthia in this panel. In August, beginning the internship, the social service and practice with better in Spanish, but it's much easy for me. Estos jóvenes, estos estudiantes,
In August, these young students, they're going to begin a process of becoming scholastic mediators. We're working with the Secretary of Education, and this part is more integrative with understanding these sciences so that our young people can begin implementing habits such as meditation, yoga, all of these things that help with peace. In school, the School of Law, we're beginning a garden and planting many plants, and through doing things like this that we can lessen the intensity of these problems and what they experience. After the elections, then we're going to be finishing the last leg or the last part of these programs, but we're going to continue to support those who are struggling or in prison. We're also donating that people can help with this process of
Así cerramos los proyectos en la UJAT y la parte institucional que ya obviamente el reconocimiento
within the economy and within the community,
universitario propiamente de el nuevo objetivo de vinculación internacional del programa de institucional de cultura de paz por parte del comité de IWPG.
that we want to
Y el
implement.
diplomado que vamos a hacer con las dos filosofías.
Also, we have
Dedicado a toda la
the diplomat with two
convocatoria pública en la universidad para que
that we're implementing with these two philosophies that all
vamos a agarrar o campus vamos a hacer convocatoria para ese
and all of these
diplomado
fields that we have within the university, we're going to implement these diplomats within the University of UJAT.
Yeah, we appreciate your insight, and we are really looking forward to for the plans. Thank you. Now let's turn to Leticia. If you could recommend one concrete questions to accelerate women's participation in STEM across Latin America, what would it be?
Yeah, thank you. If I could recommend one action, it will be to strengthen mentorship ecosystems that connect girls and young women with women already working in STEM. Role models inspire, but mentorships creates confidence, guidance, and access to real opportunities. However, mentorship alone is not enough. It should be supported by collaboration among governments, educational institutions, industry, and international organizations. When we invest in women in STEM, we are not only expanding career opportunities, we are increasing innovation, strengthening communities, and building the human capital needed for a more resilient and sustainable future.
Thank you. Thank you for your wonderful response. Finally, we come to our last panelist, Angelica. Many women spend years without diagnosis, taught to normalize their pain. What led you to create HERA, and how can a tool like you change that reality?
Muchas gracias. Bueno, ERA
Thank you
se
so much.
creó
Well,
por mujeres para mujeres.
ERA was created
Fuimos un
for
grupo
women by
de
women.
5 mujeres
We were a group
justamente
of
con
5 women
endometriosis o síndrome
with
de ovario metabólico
endometriosis or
poliquístico. En mi caso
PMOS.
es el segundo.
In my
En el
case,
que todas
it's the
nos
latter.
enfrentamos a la misma experiencia. No había quien
And
nos
all of us had
creyera
encountered the same
o no había
experience. Nobody had
tratamiento
believed
ni
us,
mercado para que nosotras
or we wound
pudiéramos
up without a
afrontar esto,
diagnosis
pero
and not
también
being
conocer
treated.
nuestro cuerpo. Y hablamos
But at the
con
same
más de
time,
100
we felt that we really
mujeres
knew
y
our
todas
bodies.
llevaron a la misma conclusión. Mientras
All of
algunas
us arrived at
mujeres
the
que
same
eran muy niñas
conclusion.
se desmayaban en la escuela por el dolor, tuvieron que dejar la
Many
carrera
women,
o
many young girls in the
sus
school, or many
trabajos.
women that are working,
Había una constante en la que no se
there was this
encontraba esta
constant
información primero en español. En México ni
that we
siquiera
struggled to
tenemos
find this
una base de
information, especially in
datos con la cifra
Spanish
exacta de cuántas mujeres tienen estos padecimientos.
or in our own
Entonces es
indigenous
empezar desde
language.
ahí a construir, pero también ver a la mujer como un
And
todo,
because
no
of
como
these reasons, we began to
linealmente. Esto
form.
afecta en la esfera social, la esfera
And it
económica,
affects so much more than what people
sexual,
realize.
en cómo una misma
Intimate
mujer.
sexual
Entonces
relationships, but
es
also
justamente el
the
poder llegar a las
economy,
mujeres
interrelationships with other
que se
people.
nos han negado, donde
But
podemos
the
hablar de nuestro
information that's
cuerpo y
actually available to women
conocernos
about these things and about
sin
our
necesidad
own
de
bodies,
hacernos
even we
críticas,
ourselves are
donde
unable to
seamos
find information that
escuchadas
we
y
can know
entendamos que
well,
nuestros cuerpos tienen sentido.
and that many don't listen to us, but we want to be able to promote that women actually have
Angelica,
that
thank you for
right
your wonderful response.
to be known and to understand our bodies.
Please join me in giving another round of applause to all of our panelists. Now, we will conduct our second live poll. This time, we invite everyone to vote for the solution for policy recommendation that you believe should receive the highest priority. Are you ready? So, when the window for poll appears, please submit your response. Surprise! We have no live poll for now. So the first poll will replace the second poll. So sorry for the confusion. Before we continue, let's take a group photo to commemorate this beautiful moment together. Please turn on your cameras. And I will count up to 10. Please show your beautiful smile. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep smiling. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're so beautiful. Now we will begin the interactive peace dialogue and recommendation development session. In a few moments, participants will be automatically assigned to their breakout rooms. Each group will be facilitated by a moderator who will guide the discussion and help prepare a draft recommendation. During this session, participants are encouraged to discuss the priority peace challenging, explore practical solutions, identify responsible stakeholders, and develop a clear recommendation together. We will have about 20 minutes for discussions. Please enjoy your conversations, and we look forward to hearing your recommendations when everyone returns. Welcome back, everyone. We hope you had a productive discussion and meaningful exchange. We sincerely thank all the participants and moderator for your thoughtful contribution. Before we invite each group to present its key recommendations, I'd like to briefly introduce the next stage of this initiative. Space Forum is a part of broader global process. The recommendations developed across all four regional forums will be consolidated into Global Women's Peace Recommendation 2026. And this will be presented at the 2026 International Women's Peace Conference, which will be held this September in Republic of Korea. The International Women's Peace Conference is IWPG's annual global conference. It brings together government officials, representatives of international organizations, legal experts, academics, and civil society leaders, and peace practitioners from around the world to share best practice, exchange ideas, and strengthen international cooperation for peace. The QR code now displayed on your screen, and this QR code takes you directly to the conference registration page. On behalf of IWPG, I'd like to warmly invite everyone participating in today's forum to join us at the conference this September. We sincerely hope to welcome many of you again in Korea as we continue this important journey together and further strengthen our global partnership for sustainable peace. Thank you for your continued support and participation. Now, we will invite the moderators from each group to present the group's key recommendations. Each group will have around 2 minutes. Shall we start with group for later first? Later, would you
Sí, hola
share
a
the
todos.
recommendation
Ok,
of your group?
ahora sí yo puedo. Hola, buenas. Muy tan tarde. Creo que hoy de la Colombia era un día
Hello,
de
everyone.
independencia. Por eso ustedes todos quieren que
In
regresa
Colombia, it's
antes
the Day
su
of
casa o
Independence.
descansas más tiempo. Por eso sí, ahora yo quiero que la presentación por español. ¿Todo está bien?
Now, I would like to
Necesitas de
present.
inglés. ¿Todo está bien?
I'd like to present what all of those who speak Spanish had shared. Our group is about the autonomy and economic value of women and how to guarantee the participation of women and the decisions and making these decisions in public, through the public, and also through making this impact within the community and sectors that are economic and political as well, but also guaranteeing women's participation in being able to speak regarding the victimization of and violence of women.
Raizales muere con discapacidad y migrantes. Sexto, asegurar que las políticas y programas
We have to assure that the political programs that are being implemented are actually effective. The seventh, we have to make a much stronger program for peace that is culturally based. We have to imply these
instituciones para la participación de la mujer.
We have to implement a mechanism for for implementing peace, a system that is actually able to work, and also education that actually has clear language that is inclusive for everyone, and laws that are instilled within the public and within the economy that actually support the work of peace and adopt and implement strategies that lead to the construction of peace. And we have to incorporate the voice of women within peace. That includes a mechanism of protection against violence of any kind and sexual violence and these problems. In reality, there were so many that we discussed as a result, but up until this point, this is all that we shared. Thank you so much.
For sharing insightful recommendations. Now, shall we move on to another group? Fortunate, would you share your group's recommendation?
Thank you so much, Jasmine. So in our small meeting discussion, firstly, I'd like to identify the challenges that we mentioned as well, being that we need more women in empowerment roles, and we need to incorporate a lot of STEM education, as well as involving women in entrepreneurship, so that to advocate for women being in the STEM as well as business forefront. And then we also have women pain often being taken for granted as well. So we need to obviously acknowledge the pain that women go through. Then the recommendations that were suggested towards those challenges being that we need to have more volunteering initiatives and also donate funds towards organizations that actually work on the ground to help address these issues. We need to also have community mental health initiatives deployed to ensure that women who are faced with mental health challenges, which need to also be seen as a human right, are able to participate in such initiatives to help them combat mental health challenges. We also need to have education on menstruation, and also this needs to start at a family level, where families are able to educate their children on the importance of their body, especially for women, and also how is it that you approach menstruation as a health concern. And then we also need to have open communication at homes, which will also facilitate open dialogues and transparency when we move from community and ultimately to the world as well. And women should be intentional about their involvement in communities and also in activities and decision-making spaces. We also need to have mentorships that are not only focusing on women, but also mentorships that tackle community and everyone as well involved in the community. And lastly, having international cooperation between government and civil society to bring all efforts together to help curb the challenges that we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Fortunate, for sharing valuable recommendations. Thank you. Now, finally, Candace, will you share your group's insights?
Yes, thank you so much. On behalf of our breakout room, I would like to share the key insights and recommendations discussed by our group. The key challenges in our region that were spoken of were mental health, gender discrimination and gender divide, and also the silencing of women's voices and their emotions. So with the mental health and how violence can impact this mental health as well, it was very noticed that peace starts within the family, but oftentimes families don't have the tools to do this. And gender discrimination and harmful gender divides and the silencing of women's emotions, but we should make talking about our feelings and emotions something normal, and being strong is not supposed to be silenced. So to address them, we propose the following recommendations. We got more into the discussion, but based on what a lot was provided, the expanding community peaceful tools through education and also the mental health support. This could be led by national and the local governments, as well as the civil societies and educational institutions. Secondly, strengthening gender equality systems through coordinating actions by even the national and the local governments. because it was also brought up that a lot of women experience this gender discrimination, and also it can lead to different stalking and also the violences as well too. So involving a lot of the NGOs, the schools, and international organizations and private sector media and technology partners is very important for the media to be involved with strengthening these systems. Finally, creating safe platforms for the women's voices. This needs to be supported by civil society, our community leaders, and also the educational institutions and international organizations and platforms. These recommendations reflect the lived experiences of women in our region and the collective wisdom shared in our breakout room. We present them with unity, clarity, and commitment to advancing peace. Thank you for everyone who contributed. Your voices strengthen our shared mission.
Thank you. Thank you, Candice, for insightful recommendations. And thank you all of our groups for your excellent presentations. The recommendations shared today demonstrate not only the diversity of regional perspective, but also common commitment we all share toward building sustainable peace. All recommendations developed through today's forum will be reviewed and incorporated into Global Women's Peace Recommendations 2026. As we conclude today's Global Peace Forum, Global Women's Peace Forum, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to all of our speakers, participants, volunteers, moderators, and interpreters. Your experience, ideas, and commitment have made today's dialogue much more meaningful. We hope today's discussion will continue beyond this forum and inspire stronger cooperation for sustainable peace in every community. Thank you once again for joining us today. We wish you a wonderful day and look forward to seeing you again at the 2026 International Women's Peace Conference. This concludes today's program. Thank you. Muchas gracias. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hasta luego.
Muchas gracias a ustedes todos. Tengan buen día.